All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to crack the code on that L2.NET technical interview. We are breaking down the entire game plan using the Capgemini blueprint as our guide to help you absolutely nail that next level role.
You know, that L2 interview, it's your big shot to level up. It's where you prove you've moved beyond just, ticking off tasks. Now it's about showing you can design, you can architect, and you can solve the really big problems. It's a huge step up, so let's get you ready for it. Okay, this right here is the most important mindset shift you have to make. Seriously, forget about just memorizing definitions. An L1 interview, that's all about what you know. But an L2 interview, that's about how you think. They want to see your real-world battle scars and how you tackle problems when there's no single perfect answer.
So your first challenge, it's going to be a deep dive into the fundamentals. But listen, they're not looking for textbook answers. No way. They want to see that you've actually wrestled with these concepts on real projects and that you truly understand the trade-offs involved.
Okay, let's talk about the classic question, interface versus abstract class. Now, a junior dev will just explain the difference. But an L2 dev, you're going to say something like, well, I'd use an interface like iLogger to define a strict contract for what logging should do, allowing for totally different implementations. But I'd use an abstract class like Payment Gateway Base to share common foundational logic across different payment providers. You see, it's all about the when and the why.
And it's the same story with struct versus class. The key L2 insight here is all about performance. You've got to explain that structs are value types, right? They live on the super fast stack memory. This means you get to them quicker, sure, but the real win is that they don't put any pressure on the garbage collector. That is a massive efficiency boost for small, unchanging data. It shows you're thinking about the whole memory lifecycle, not just making stuff work.
Dependency injection. Look, don't overcomplicate it. It's basically about a class not building its own tools, but having them handed to it instead. That simple idea makes your code incredibly flexible and so much easier to test. But be ready for the follow-ups. They are almost definitely going to ask you about the difference between, say, constructor injection and property injection.
Understanding how .NET manages memory, well, it's pretty much non-negotiable for an L2 role. You don't have to be a world-class expert, but you need to be able to explain this generational process. The garbage collector is like a super efficient janitor. It does a quick cleanup of all the new, temporary junk in Generation 0 and only moves the stuff that sticks around for a while to Gen 1 and then eventually to Gen 2. Explaining this shows you really get what's happening under the hood.
So, you've proven you've mastered the building blocks. Great. The next arena is all about testing how you connect those blocks to the outside world. This is all about data, how you serve it up through APIs, and how you grab it efficiently with SQL.
When they ask you about middleware, I want you to think of it like a factory assembly line for your API requests. Each piece of middleware does one specific job. Authentication here, logging there, handling errors over here, before passing the request down the line. And this is why the order is absolutely critical. I mean, you have to authenticate a user before you let them get their data, right? It just makes sense.
When it comes to SQL, knowing your joins is just table stakes. You should be able to look at this and not just explain it, but be ready to jump on a whiteboard and write a query. They'll ask for something like, get all customers in their orders and make sure you include customers who haven't ordered anything yet. And you'll know that's a classic left join scenario.
And here, this is a fantastic way to show off your depth. When they ask a classic puzzle like, find the second highest salary, don't just give them one answer, give them options. You explain that, yeah, a subquery is pretty straightforward. But then you show your experience by saying that window functions like row number or dense rank are way more powerful and scalable, especially if they turn around and ask for the nth highest salary. That shows you think about flexibility and performance.
All right, you've cleared the foundational rounds. Now it's time for the main event, the final boss, the open-ended, real-world scenario question. This is where theory just goes right out the window. They want to see if you can solve a complex, messy problem when all the pieces are moving at once. They're going to hit you with something just like this. It's broad, it's vague, and that's the entire point. They want to see how you structure your thoughts under pressure. The very first thing you should do is ask some clarifying questions. But right after that, you need a plan of attack.
A great answer here attacks the problem from multiple angles. You structure your thinking out loud, like this. Okay, first, I'd start at the database. Are our queries optimized? Do we have the right indexes in place? Then I'd move up to the application layer. Could we cache frequent requests using something like Redis? Are there any blocking calls we can make asynchronous? And finally, I'd look at the response itself. Are we sending way too much data back? Maybe we need to implement pagination? You see? That layered approach is a complete home run L2 level answer.
Here's another absolute classic. Every L2 developer has to be able to answer this one with total confidence. Security is never, ever an afterthought, and they need to know you can build a secure system right from the very beginning. Your answer here has to show a layered security strategy. You start with the non-negotiable, encrypting all traffic with HTTPS, period. For authentication, you talk about using JWTs, and you'd explain why. Their self-contained, stateless nature is perfect for mobile apps and distributed systems. Then you add more layers, token expiration policies to limit risk, and a robust authorization system using roles and claims. Hitting all those points proves you've got a comprehensive, rock-solid security plan.
You are almost there. You can feel it. The final hurdle is often just a quick, practical coding challenge. Look, they're not trying to trick you with some crazy, complex algorithm. They just want to see that you can write clean, logical code under a little bit of pressure.
First up, a true classic, reversing a string. The key here is that little constraint, without using built-in functions. They want to see you actually work with an array of characters or use a simple loop. It's a pure test of basic programming logic.
Next, finding duplicates. Can you think of a solution that's actually efficient? Using something like a hash set or a dictionary to keep track of the numbers you've already seen? That's a great approach. It shows you're already thinking about time complexity.
And finally, checking for a palindrome. A simple two-pointer approach, one at the beginning, one at the end, and they move towards the center. That is an elegant and efficient solution. These challenges are all about proving your fundamental coding skills quickly and cleanly.
So, as you prepare for this, I want you to keep this final question in your mind, because the entire L2 interview process is designed to find out the answer to this. Just writing code. That's the baseline. A true L2 developer is a problem solver who just happens to use code as their main tool. Go into that room with that mindset, and you are going to be more than ready to nail it.